Well, Janet asks, what dietary foods will aid in the optimization or changes that our DNA might go through in the near term?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Your physical structure, your DNA personally is is changing, not all the time, but it changes sort of on a semi-regular basis. It happens as we age, as we come in contact with illness, as our immune system uh, is tapped, becomes compromised, as we face stressors from internal stressors and external stressors. And there's a genetic component. And so all that being said, what we would say about that is go first to your genetic component. Learn to understand and identify what is most beneficial for your body, for your system, and those are the foods that you want to consume. I mean, it seems sort of obvious, and yet I think it's maybe not for a lot of people. So we're going to reiterate it here. And we'll give you an example. So for example, I'm gluten intolerant, and I pretty much gave it up many, many years ago. Every once in a while I'll indulge, and I can do that, but it doesn't serve my body to its highest and best utilization of food. I'm also somebody who really does best with animal protein, as much as that hurts me from an emotional, psychological, psychic standpoint. I need to eat that to feel really optimized in my body. I'd rather not eat it, but that just doesn't work for me physically. And so the example here then says, find out what works for you. My daughter, on the other hand, is not on the other hand, but my daughter is lactose intolerant, so she has to deal with that. So find out what works best for you, and those are the foods that you want to consume. Again, all that being said, you want to work with, as you can, whole foods, fresh foods, raw foods, if that works for you, plant-based foods. Our earth has been tilled and tilled and tilled and tilled and tilled and harvested until there is little nutrient left in the soil, if at any. Growing your own garden, we would absolutely support that. And it's a lovely thing to do for many reasons. So I guess the end result of that is to go with what works for your system, your body, that supports you in the best way. There is no one size fits all for this. And as we age and as we come across those compromises to our systems, then we have to adapt in a different way. So I hope that answers that question, Janet. Thanks so much.
Okay, and finally, another Leslie asks, is the world ready for a new era of social justice? What can we do to support this without blame, shame, victimization, and finger pointing?
That's such a beautiful question. And if you are in tune with what's happening in the world, boy, are we ready. It is not just the US. Oh, gave me goosebumps. We are ready worldwide. You know, it's interesting because Mother Earth decided a little while ago that human beings were not really being respectful of our environment, of our ecosystems, of our food sources, of our of pollution, and she was going to help us out by sending us a pandemic. And so because of that pandemic, we have been globally forced to retreat, thus clearing up a lot of air pollution and other pollution as well. And so we think that this is the start, if we can keep it, if we can hold on to it, of a revolution or an evolution of being able to really learn how to appreciate, love, and support the human race and our planet. This is our home. It's the only one we've got. And it has fallen on deaf ears for far too long to make the changes that need to happen to clean up the shit show that the human race has gotten us into. Seems to be Julie's favorite term right about now. So yes, it is not just the US as you see people marching for justice and civil rights. It is global in support of what's happening, been demonstrated in the US. And I want to switch back to something for a moment, which is sort of lays the foundation for this, which is after Mr. Trump was elected, there were a lot of people I know that asked, how could this possibly have happened, or why did it happen? And my guides, were very clear about this, saying that this needed to happen because we needed to shine a light on so much injustice and so much covert, disgusting, gang-like corruption that was happening, and social injustice. Did I say that twice? Yes, that has been happening. And so we needed an icon to do that. And like him or hate him, he's an icon. And so we would say thank you for that, because that's what we needed as a human race to bring this into the light and to really address it that in a way that has never been fully addressed. We've come to the boundary, we've touched on it, we've bumped against the boundary, we've made some changes, and then it's like that saying, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's what has happened. We feel this is a very, very different change that's ahead. The energetic of it is very different, just as it was when the pandemic showed up. People were saying, this is nothing, don't worry about it. And we're saying, no, this is very different. Yes, take it seriously. Worry? I don't know. But take it seriously and do the things that you need to do to protect yourself as best you can, without isolating yourself so much that then you cause yourself anxiety about that. So lots of changes ahead. We think this is not done. There have been many changes all at one time. It's kind of amazing that this has happened all on the back of one another. And here's the thing about all this. The people who don't like change, these types of changes that are gonna happen, they are going to happen. They will go kicking and screaming. And we must stand our ground and set these boundaries and fight for what is right and true and that we know needs to change. Let's see if there's anything more about that. We're actually really excited about the changes ahead. This is going to be interesting. There will be moments or incidents that will happen over the next several months that you'll be just, wow, we didn't think anything else could happen or change or be worse than has already happened. So it may be prepared. We don't think this is quite the end of that with the current occupant in the White House. And so be prepared for other fear-based and undeniably horrifying things that you would never imagine to happen. So not that they'll, you know, in the human race, that's not going to happen, but we wouldn't be surprised. We're not predicting this, but we will say we would not be surprised if a war of some kind was declared, or a nuclear standoff happened. Those extremes may come. Not to scare you, because we will get through it. just be prepared that it's ahead. Something is coming still. Oh, that wasn't a very nice way to end, was it? Let's see if we can come up with something positive to end. And Joyce, if you have any question that might lead us to a more positive outcome, we're happy to go there.
Well, you answered one of the ones that I was curious about. I'm always curious what kind of innovations that we don't know about that might appear as a result of this pandemic.
You know, so it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. You're going to see things that we thought were just science fiction that are going to come in healthcare, that are going to come in transportation, so that we learn to really work to eliminate our greenhouse gases. You're going to see actually innovations in food, more, this is wild, I haven't heard this before, more, we're not going to say synthetic foods. I don't know what you would call them. They're not synthetic, but they're not, it would be along the lines of maybe tofu, but not tofu, because that already exists. So interesting innovations maybe in food and feeding the planet in a different way. Big changes are ahead, good big changes. So to be more precise than that, time will tell. We have to wait until we get to a little further down this road and past the pandemic to a place where we can introduce those. And it's a sort of interesting dichotomy, because a good time to introduce a lot of those innovations is now, when we are in the throes of needing them. And yet at the same time, people can't think about that or accept them right now. There are just other things happening. So that will take precedence over these other innovations. So they will be a few more years down the line. Again, we're getting that number 3. So it may be a few years still yet to come. But we're off and running. So I hope that gives us something to look forward to. So I think that might be it for today. Unless you have anything else, Joyce?
No, that was a lot of great information.
Maybe not. Okay. So I want to thank you all for coming, and please feel free to share this video with anyone and everyone you know. And I look forward to more questions. Please send me more questions in this nature, and we'll keep addressing them. And we look forward to the next time that we get to do that. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.